Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session on the art of crafting a winning resume. So this is, as long as the jobs were there in this world, the resume has always been part of that. And it's a very live topic, and everybody starts their life with a resume, frankly speaking, after you finish your studies. And then you go pick up your job. The first key that opens to your job is a resume, okay? So I will take you through what you have to go for this. This will be initially for about, say, between 30 to 40 minutes. I'll take you on through a session of this, how to craft a winning resume. Thereafter, we will throw open for a question and answer session. So I'll request you to get into the chat as and when, as we keep going through the session, please get into the chat and type in your questions so that then I can, at the end, Rana, I hope I can take your help in reading out the questions so that I can take them in the Q&A session. And
Yes, sir.
anybody, yeah, thank you, Rana. And anybody after that also can, even during the question and answer session, you can always shoot a question. So even if you have not put anything on the chat, that's also fine. Right, so what we are going to do now is, I'll take a quick introduction of myself first. About me, so I was in the Indian Army, and 21 and a half years of my experience after I left. I was actually working for railways for some time, but then I left that and I joined the army because I found I needed more energy. I needed more, I need to do something more creative and something more towards the nation. So I joined because my father was also in the army. So I joined the army and I was in the Indian Artillery, and I have been a part of the commandos, the Black Cat commandos. I was with the 51 Special Action Group. So this photograph was taken when I was the commanding officer of light regiment. These are the artillery, the equipment which are used in the mountains. So I was deployed in the Tibet border that time, and that is this when this photograph was taken. So I left in 2008, joined Indian Institute of Management, did a course there, and thereafter I've been with 4 different industries as head of administration, chief of operations, head of HR's Center of Excellence, and then finally head of HR, and in 2 different companies. And thereafter I also took as chief of operations of a private-public partnership, and then I was a management consultant too. And finally, at I'm just 60. I just turned 60 in March. So I'm now currently a full-time coach, life leadership, and a career transition coach. For my achievement, the Indian Achievers Award was given to me for training and grooming leaders. So I'm very passionate about grooming leaders, especially young people to potential leaders. So most of my sessions with the corporates are on grooming people, and my life, of course, live sessions that I do as a coach and a mentor is there. And the other thing which I do very passionately these days is the armed forces officers of Army, Navy, and the Air Force, when they move out to the corporate, when they finish 10 years, 14 years, 20 years, or 34 years of experience, I groom them into getting into the corporate. So this is what I do, keep myself really busy. And that's about me. We have a CV versus the resume. There is a difference, subtle difference between a CV and a resume. I'll take you through that, and so that we are not using the wrong term. Okay, it's a very misunderstood term. Both are interchangeably used. So we will take a look at what it is. Then the ingredients of what makes into a resume, the elements of a winning resume. Okay, that's different from the ingredients. And the types and formats of resume. There are types of resume, and there are also various formats of resume. So I'll take you through that also. The covering letter, that's also important. And when do you actually use a covering letter and when you don't have to? And what should come in the covering letter, I'll take you through that also. Okay, the mystery behind the application tracking software. Some people call it system, some people call it software, but what is it? Why are we insisting that you have to be aware of what this ATS is? That I will cover that in detail. And the common mistakes in resume, just a brief mistakes which generally people make. I'll just touch upon a few of them. And then how can I help not just on this topic, but even otherwise on your career enhancements, because I'm a life leadership and a career transition coach. So the past 2.5 years, I've been doing that. So, and then we will follow it up with a question and answer session. A CV, which is called curriculum vitae, it's a Latin word, and a resume is a French word. So it is actually written with this tilde. If you can see this tilde. So this is what is tilde there. And then in CV, it's usually 2 to 3 pages, but currently nobody takes a look beyond a CV, which is more than 2 pages. Nobody does it. As a head of HR, I used to see a CV only the first half of the first page. If I get to know what the person I'm looking for is there, only then I go beyond that. And it's a researched figure across the globe that the first 19 seconds is the maximum that a HR person or a hiring manager takes a look at a CV. So your first half of your CV must capture your personality, professional personality. It's that important. And the same goes with the resume. Resume is always 1 page. Very rarely can you call a resume which goes beyond the first page. Okay, so that is a major difference. Resume means 1 page, and for most of the freshers, interns, it is usually resume that is what is referred to. And then, of course, academic and senior roles, this is where the CV was initially, it started with them. Freshers, juniors, up to 7 years, it is resume. It is career, whereas yours is specific. In case if you're already experienced, you can still be sending a resume in case of a specific job that you're applying for. And CV is generally the complete career if you're have already got an experience, and work expectation skills specifically. You create a resume in case you are requested by the company. The company says, send us a resume, please clarify with the company. Is it a 1-page resume that you're looking at? If they say yes, only send a 1-page resume. Don't bother to send a 2-page CV. And CV is generally referred in UK, Ireland, and the European countries. The US can either ask for a CV or resume, and they interchangeably use that word. Australia and South Africa also both uses as synonyms. Some companies in India and Bangladesh still go by the word biodata. The PSUs and the government organizations still call it biodata, but it's slowly fading out. And biodata typically runs for pages. It's got many things else, which you don't fill up in a CV or in a resume, right? The next comes, why a resume? Why do you really need a resume? Okay, so the resume is your first gateway to your career. This is the one which is telling you that there is a person like you who can be taken a look at for a job. So this is the first gateway. The second, it's your marketing tool. So therefore, this is just, don't pull out some resume from some, some corner shop and ask them to make a resume for you. Don't do that. It represents you. It's a brand that you're creating. So it's a marketing tool. So keep that much of importance to your resume. And finally, it showcases your professional identity, who you are. So every resume, if you frankly ask me, because of I've lost count of how many people I've interviewed, how many resumes I've seen. The moment I look in that few seconds of a resume, I know whether this is a cut-paste resume or is this a resume which comes from a person who has actually taken the trouble of creating his or her personality there. So this is very important, all these 3 aspects, and that is why a resume is actually your first key. It's very important that you consider it as a marketing tool, and it gives the professional identity to yourself. Okay, so what does a resume contain? What all should it contain? Okay, there are some aspects that is common to all the resumes. Certain countries do not have some information. Certain countries insist on a certain information. We will talk about all of that. Clear all your doubts on the resume. The first, obviously, your name, your mobile number, and the email ID. A quick word about here. The mobile number should be the one that you're going to use. We are very frequently, we keep changing the mobile numbers. When we break up with our girlfriend or a boyfriend, we change the mobile number. Please have a mobile number which you can use permanently, because you get your calls. So you never know when somebody might call you after about a year or 2. They have your database, so they might call you for an interview. So have a permanent mobile number for your job requirements, for your professional requirements. And your email ID should also sound or look professional. Don't have an email at hotdude2001@gmail.com, all prettyface@gmail. These are all not very professional email ID. So I have a very professional one, which is very sober. It could have elements of your name so that people can identify your email ID with your name, some portions of your name, and some combination of, because of the permutations and combinations which an email ID needs. Second, every resume should have a job title. The reason I'll explain this when I go to the ATS, because the ATS will start searching for the job title. The ATS has got thousands and thousands of resumes to search. If it wants to pick up your resume, it should have the job title for which you're applying for. So if you're applying for a customer care executive, your job title should say customer care executive. Don't say that fresher looking for customer jobs. That will not gel. There's a possibility that it might not click. Have a career goal. Now here I find everybody copying somebody else's resume, career goal, and putting it there. No, you must have a career goal for yourself. And each career goal depends on the job description of the job that you're applying for. From that, make your own career goal. Okay, it doesn't have to be paragraphs. It can be just about 1 or 2 sentences. A key competence and skill sets which are essential for the job, only put that in your resume. So which means for every job that you're applying, your resume has to change depending on the job description. I'm repeating this. This is that important. Every time you apply for a job in a company, whichever company comes, your resume must change. Don't have a standard resume, because standard resume is just like any other resume. You have to stand out. Okay, so that is why it is important that you must have your competence and skill sets according to the job description. Your key education qualifications and certifications, obviously, this must come there. Some of you may have done a lot of certifications during the pandemic and all of that. Put only relevant certifications that is required for the job description. Okay. Your employment history, because I found some of you are less than 5 years of experience, and there was one who is more than 5 years of experience. So in case if you have to get in your employment history, please put that. Awards and achievements, if you do, you may have got awards and achievements which will have some impact on your being selected. Please mention that. Okay, like for instance, you may have won a debate that shows that you are good at your at least verbal communication. So do all of that. Hobbies and interests, if it is good that you want to mention about it, you're good at something, please do it, because a lot of companies have games and tournaments for that. So they are also looking at this. So it's optional, I've put, but you can always mention if you have done something good. Photo and a date of birth. US companies reject resumes which have a photograph or a date of birth. By legal requirement, they do that. So it's best to avoid putting a photograph unless those people ask you to put a photograph, especially if you're in the front office. Let's say if you're in fashion jobs and things like that, they may require a photograph. But otherwise, you can remove your photograph. Let them not decide you based on your face, how it looks like, right? Date of birth, again, it's a very sensitive information. It's up to you whether you want to put it or not. You don't have to, unless they ask for it, it's fine. If some companies give you a layout of what they want the resume. If date of birth is mentioned there, only then mention it. Language proficiency, yes, especially if you're dealing with people, marketing, sales, it may be a requirement that you may have to have a regional language. So then in that case, you must give your regional language. Reference on request was part of the biodata earlier. Nowadays, nobody's asking for it. It's only once you're almost signed up, and if they're going to give you an offer letter, they might ask you for a reference, only then give it. Don't make it a part of your resume. And signatures, you can, earlier it used to be there, but some people, some of the companies, they say that, they want a signed resume, in which case you can say that the above information is correct. I will also share you a format of that, and you can sign it and send it. Otherwise, if you're sending it electronically, that is, if you're sending by email, or you're going to the website of the company and uploading your resume, or if you're going to LinkedIn and uploading it there, or a job portal, you don't have to put any signatures anywhere, right? So this is as far as these things are concerned. Do not lie anywhere in your resume, because you will be asked questions from the resume, and if you're not able to justify it, if you do the cut paste job, then you're likely to lie. So don't do that. And believe me, very seasoned HRs can pick a lie within the first 2 sentences of you opening your mouth. Okay, so don't lie. So this is my how to reach out to me. My QR code. You can click on this on your smartphone. You will get my digital diary. It talks about all that I've done. I have my YouTube channel where you can a lot of career enhancement videos are there. Go ahead and subscribe to it. So whenever I upload a video on careers, it's there. You will get to know it. I have my, of course, my website is there, and then my blogs are there, and in LinkedIn, my LinkedIn Connect is there. So if you go ahead and scan this, and if you get it, you will get my profile, what is the coaching, testimonials of there, then right career, how do you choose, all these are there. This is my LinkedIn profile. Please connect with me on LinkedIn because I keep uploading a lot of stuff on the LinkedIn also. This is my YouTube channel. You can connect me there. And if you want to reach out to me, my address and everything, of course, is there. How to Sharpen Your Interview Skills is a book that I have written on the subject. And this book is available on Amazon for a cost which is less than a pizza and a coffee. And this book is easily readable. Within 2 hours, you can read it. Very conversational language I've used, simple and conversational. Anybody can read this book.